நான் வந்து இன்னைக்கு வந்து டக் பிஸ்னஸ் ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்திருக்கேன். எதனால் வந்திருக்கேன்னா, டக் பிஸ்னஸ் ஸ்கூல் வந்து ஒரு ஐவி லீக் ஸ்கூல், சூப்பரான ஒன் ஆஃப் த டாப் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் in the country, சூப்பரான கேம்பஸ்ஸு. The reason why I'm here is I'm been invited இந்த காலேஜில் வந்து கீநோட் கொடுக்கறதுக்காக. யாருக்கு கீநோட்னா, these are entrepreneurs. அதில் ஒரு எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் எஜுகேஷன் ப்ரோக்ராம் ஒன்று இருக்குது. It's called as Growing Established Diverse Business. இதில் கிட்டத்தட்ட 30 entrepreneurs participate பண்ணுறாங்க, who have been hand selected by large corporations and sponsored and funded by them. And these are all, இதெல்லாம் வந்து பயங்கர பெரிய multi-million dollar businesses. And I'm really excited. எனக்கு இதில் என்ன எக்ஸைட்மெண்ட்னா, நம்ம வந்து திருச்சியிலேருந்து வந்து we've been able to do something special. And Trichy being the main reason for our growth journey, which I'm going to be sharing in such a established school. Okay, how was the program overall?
Amazing.
Awesome.
The mentors, the different things that we're learning in terms of knowledge, business.
Yeah. Fantastic. And what do you do?
So I own MK3 Industries. So we're an automotive wholesale distribution company that focuses on fleet maintenance equipment to the highest quality. And I also own an auto tech solutions company.
Super. All right. Thank you. Hello, ladies. How are you all? Okay. All right. So good to see you all. How was the program overall? What do you think?
Exceeded my expectations.
Exceeded your expectations. Yes. Okay. How about you?
Yeah, same here.
Very nice. Okay.
Very enriching experience for sure.
Fabulous. All right. And where are you all coming from?
Kansas City, Missouri for me. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Michigan.
Where? Michigan? Oh, okay.
From San Francisco. Atlanta.
These are amazing entrepreneurs who have flown in from different parts of the country.
And excited
for
your event. Yes.
Are you serious? Okay.
As soon as he came, minutes after, this man came downstairs and went and he mirrored, as you probably, many of you who were outside saw him yesterday chopping it up with everyone. So personable, engaging, sincere. Should I even go into his thing? Do I even need to do that? What I will say that, what was that?
It's extensive.
It is. I'm not going to be though. But what I will say that his company is a global leader in digital talent management. When he came to Building and Growing, he was at about a 30 million mark in revenue. Today, this man is at nearly 300 million in revenue. I will say nothing more other than his name. Ahmed, can you please come up here?
Thank you.
You want to get mic'd up?
Yes, that'd be really nice. Good evening. I exist to inspire people around me so they can go on to inspire people around them to achieve their fullest potential. My name is Ahmed, the guy right there. That's the handsome guy who was the younger me. Well, most importantly, what I wanted to talk to you about is my journey with Tuck. Most importantly, people call me an influencer nowadays more than an entrepreneur. I started my journey as an entrepreneur, but eventually ended up into the influencer side as well. So that's why you see my silver play button from YouTube. I have close to about over 500,000 followers on YouTube, 1.5 million in terms of the overall audience and all our social platforms. So one thing which I want you to definitely take away, which they did not teach you at Tuck from this entire conversation, if you don't take away anything at all, the one thing if you can take away as an entrepreneur, which I learned very late, that is only about 3 or 4 years ago, sell with influence. Before you get into the room, your customers should know you, who you are, but for all the good reasons. So do good things, be socially present, build a huge social persona out there. That way, the deal is done even before you enter the room. And that happens. And it works like magic. And it's been happening. All right, so take a look at it and make sure that you follow me. If you follow me, I will never let you down, which means that the algorithm works in such a way that it's going to constantly send you feeds. So everybody says, some of my customers say, Sid, I'm really sick and tired of you. Although you don't call me, I just keep seeing you on Instagram all the time. 10 years ago, in 2013, I was in this particular classroom in this cohort, and Frank Venegas, the chairman of Ideal Group, he was the keynote speaker. And when he presented, at that point in time, and I still have his bio as well, all right? And the bio which we made, Emmanuel asked me, hey, can you send me the bio? So I quickly opened the folder, the 2013 folder, and I saw whose bio is there. Frank Venegas' bio. I sent it to my marketing team. I said, hey, make an exact same bio. It's something that looks like that. So that's why we have all the brands, like how Ideal makes all the brands. I thought maybe there's some kind of format, so I asked him to prepare, and that's the format what you got. But let me tell you about Frank Venegas. When Frank Venegas came up on stage and he was talking about what's the journey and where they are at, they were at 240 million. And that day I said, you know what, I want to be at that $240 million journey because it was huge. We were at about $30 million. And I said, how could we get to $240 million? And he inspired me. He moved me through his conversation in terms of how they had grown. And a company which manufactures, and I know exactly what they do, which is the concrete poles and the sleeves for the concrete poles. So I was like so inspired. And that's when I thought, you know what, I want to embark on this journey as to how we can do this. Most importantly, today when I sat in all the sessions in the entire entrepreneurial journey, whether it was 1 million or 300 million, whatever it is, there is so many unknowns what I have. Every time I sat in the class, there is something new what I learned. I jumped into a conversation and I wanted to talk to Professor Alva and ask him, how is it this is done? Because at this stage, we do not know this. Imagine if we continue to head in the same direction, there will be moments in time where you will get to. And coming to Tuck Business School, what it does is it just accelerates the process. That's all it is. You could figure it out on your own, but just coming here accelerates the whole process. Robin Sharma says this eloquently. Okay, he says this very nicely. He says, it's hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and amazingly beautiful at the end. But it's for entrepreneurs, it's never beautiful at the end. It's always messy. That is what my experience is, and that's what I've seen so far. Let me jump into the next slide. So, trivia time. Anytime when I have my slide deck, I always have this trivia time. Any idea what this place looks like? Have you seen this?
It's the Oxford Dining Hall.
Oh my God! How did you get it?
I studied there.
Are you serious? Serious?
How did I know?
Oh my God! Okay, and do you know the story about it?
Tell me again.
Okay, super. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. So, so majority of the folks, generally what they say is they talk about Harry Potter. But this is from 1379. This is a picture in 1379, and that's a picture just about a couple of years ago. So what happens is you see those huge oak beams, which is on the towering oak beams. Each of those oak beams are like about 2 by 2 feet and close to about 100 odd feet long. And these were from 1379. And originally when they were built, and oak generally rots, and because beetles come and rot the wood. So when Oxford had this particular problem about it has happened twice so far. And they had this beetle infestation going on, and they didn't know how to solve this. So they were thinking, what do we do? And one of the gentlemen, he looked out and he said, hey, there are huge, tall, towering trees around the campus. Why don't we, because there is no plantation which has such long, thick wood which can be utilized for those beams. So they called the forester, the people who are actually managing those, and he called them and asked them, hey, do you think you might be in a position to help us? He said, thank you for calling. We've been waiting for almost 400 years. 400 years, because those were generations. From generations together, this plantation was made with an intention that one day this ceiling will rot, this wood will rot, and we will have to use those. So the forester said, thank you for calling, and then they started replacing that. So the long story short is their long-term view, the way they think about it. And what Tuck is doing is building the next Fortune 1000 MBEs who are right here. And that's what Tuck is doing. So thank you for being here. We can move on to the next slide. This is my cohort. This is 2013, and this is 2014. There's Professor Len, and he taught in our classes. I had an amazing time, but I'm going to talk to you about some of the how did I actually get into this particular program. You can move on to the next slide, which is Delta sponsored us. What the relationship what I had with Delta Airlines is within Georgia, there's a particular program which is called as Georgia Mentor Protege Connection, which is a program which was sponsored by the governor's office of Georgia in Georgia, and they select 20 high-performing minority businesses and pair them with 11 or 14 Fortune 1000 corporations who are based out of Georgia. I was lucky enough to be a part of that particular program. First, I went through this one-year mentoring program with Delta Airlines, as a result of which Delta said, hey, we would love to send you to Tuck Business Program. And I never knew when I came into this program, first and foremost, coming into Tuck Business School, I'll talk to you a little bit about my background, but I was not worthy of coming to Tuck. But I was so fortunate to come into this particular program, and rest is history. It is magical moments which happened. When Professor Len was in this particular classroom, he asked me, what kind of revenues are you at? I told him we are at about $30 million. I told him we want to get to $100 million. So he was asking, what is your aspirational goal? Where do you want to be? So I said, $100 million. He laughed at me. He said, 100 million? That's not happening. In a nice way. He said, staffing industry is a commoditized industry, right? And the margins are wafer thin. And for you to get to 100 million, you want to think differently. So we had a very, very healthy conversation, a thought-provoking conversation. I had one-on-one with him sitting through this conversation in terms of how do we grow to the next level. So I walked away with some key takeaways. Then the magic happens. The magic happens. Here's how it happens, all right? I'll talk to you a little bit about my background. Talking about basketball. Growing up, I was an athlete. I'm originally from a place in India. And growing up, I was an athlete. Played various different sports, played basketball as well. And that's the reason why I said I envied you so much when you came in. You said, oh my God, I wish I was as tall as you. But in India, back in the day, this is in late 80s, early 90s, you had one TV channel, just one TV channel. You switch on the TV, that's the only thing what you can watch. If you wanted to watch cartoon, it's only on Saturday. That's all it is. It'll come only on Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. That's all it is. And that's how it used to be. We never had a TV. But being an athlete and growing up as an athlete, we always have this cutting posters of going through magazines, picking up posters of stars. And I used to have posters of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson and Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson, all the amazing athletes. And once in a while, suddenly in the news, they'll show, and you're just waiting for that one moment. Because there was no internet, nothing, right? You're just waiting for that one moment where you're seeing Olympics on TV or something like that. There's so much of joy and excitement. So what happens is, in just a couple of years, things turn around, and then the real magic happens in the next slide, which is I met Professor Len. When Professor Len gave me those few ideas in terms of what needs to be done to grow your business, I called it. So he'd come to Atlanta, and this is a booth what we were building for the NMSDC conference, all right? And this is like the first time at the conference in 2016, we were putting up this booth, and he was there, and he asked me, hey, where are you in terms of your revenues? I said, we just crossed the 100 million threshold. This was in 2016. And I said, I want to take a picture of this, and I want to utilize this, and I want to show it to the world that Tuck is the real ladder for success. And that is the picture what we took. You remember this picture? Yeah. So that is Tuck is the real ladder for success for us, and that's what it is. It has given us, but the real magic happened in the next one where that's the magic. Unbelievable. The goosebumps what I had. Oh my God. just beating him. So here's what happens, the funny side of the story, all right? So we are at the NMSDC conference, and we have this, every conference, every place, every city where the conference happens, what we do is we partner with the underprivileged community, underprivileged drum line, and predominantly in whether it is New Orleans or Atlanta, but we handpick and choose which community we want to bring in. And New Orleans had about 140 odd drumline, right? We brought them in, and Magic Johnson and I were leading the parade, right? And it got so crowded, all right? So we were walking together, and it got so crowded, and we had to go to the ribbon cutting, and I'm pulling Magic Johnson's hand and running with him. Everybody is looking at me as if he's Magic Johnson's best friend. I know. So that was the first time when I met Magic, but it was an amazing experience overall. But dreams come true as well, right? And Tuck is the place where the real magic happens, and learning is what really actually makes magic happen. All right, so that's a quick story which I wanted to narrate. Let's move on to the next one, trivia time. Who's this? Talking about cigars. Winston, oh my God, okay, Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, okay, awesome. All right, and what is he smoking? The cigar, what he's smoking, it's called as Trishnapoli. That's the name of the cigar. It's called as Trishnapoli. It's a 6-inch, it's not a cigar. This is called as Cherut, Cheroot. You can look it up. Cherut is a 6-inch cigar, which is cut on both the sides. The best part about cigar is before World War, the place where I come from, Trichy, is very popular for cigars, right? We used to compete with Cuban cigars. And some of the popular celebrities, like the world-renowned leaders, used to love Trishnapoli, as a result of which it has been featured in many, many books about the Trishnapoli cigars. Why is it so popular? Is because they did not know where it was getting exported. They didn't have a clue about it, but the quality was the finest quality. That's what Trichy was known for. Now it is called as Trichy, and that's where I'm from. It's a college town. But if you go back and Google and look at the images of pictures, the simple thing is that we are people who do ordinary things extraordinarily well. That's the town where I come from. We are simple people. We'll do simple things extraordinarily well. When you talk about Lind, right, Professor Len, and you talk about the staffing industry, a commoditized industry, how can you take it to 100 million under 6 years, 7 years? If you do simple things extraordinarily well. Any business, you can be in commodity business, you can be in absolutely downtrodden commoditized business. But if you do certain things well, you can absolutely blow it out the park. And that's what we did, right? So let me move on. I'll talk to you a little bit. You can go back to the previous slide.
Sorry.
Let's park it here, and I will talk to you a little bit about my background. Where I come from is from Trichy. I was born and brought up. It's a college town, close to about 25 square kilometers, about 140 educational institutions. It's a college town. Huge talent pool, but never a large employer at all. There's never been an employer. So it's a migratory town. People come there, study, leave. I was born and brought up, so I came to the US just because we did not have enough opportunities. But that's the same thing which happened to my parents as well. My mom was a high school teacher, and we are a family of 6. I'm the last in the family. I'm the only one who was educated in an English medium school. Just went to an English medium, pure English medium where they taught in English. All the rest of the kids, my parents didn't have enough money to send them to a school where they can be taught in English or they could learn English. My dad was, he studied only till 10th grade, and they went through, they went through a lot of challenges in their family side. And as a result of which he worked as a farmer, he worked as a driver. And throughout my entire life, I've experienced where my mom and I used to go and wash clothes in the river because there's no running water in the house. And at the age of 89, when I call my mom even today and tell her, Mom, what do you remember? She's aging and she's forgetting a lot of things, but one thing she remembers, how adamant I was that I said, you know what, if I go to a school, I will go only to that British school. It was called as Campion, and I said, if I go to school, I'll go only to that school. So she did anything and everything, and my dad did anything and everything to make it happen, and they just had enough money to pay tuition for that private school where I had went, where I was studying, right from my elementary all the way. And that's one of the reasons why I had good communication skills. But the challenge was, my dad was never because he had to go outside the city, outside the state or outside the country to go and make a living. He had to earn and he had to send. So my mom quit her job and she was taking care of the kids. So I was always raised by, I say I was raised by my mom, single parenting. That's what I experienced. Overall, I had seen my dad for 20 months in my entire lifetime, because when I was 20, he passed away. When I was out of college, when I just exactly graduated, he had passed away. So there was always a desperate need of money. A desperate need of money, meaning running the family. It was such a big problem. So here's what happens. My mom puts me in a good school thinking that, yes, he's going to do great. And apparently I turned up to be a kid who did not have a lot of gray matter. So, so all my brothers and sisters, they studied in different language, but they had a lot of gray matter, but I did not have a lot of gray matter, as a result of which my grades were not that great. So long story short, coming out of school, everybody says, hey, you got to, and I had this huge ambition that I wanted to become a doctor. But my biology grades were good, but my math grades were so poor, as a result of which I could not even I could not get, there is a regulation in certain states that you have to get a minimum grade. You have to get at least 60% to get an admission in the local university to do an engineering degree. So I could not get that. My parents pushed me, my brothers pushed me. They said, hey, you got to go do engineering. Engineering was 50,000 rupees, which is about $700 today. $700 we could not muster up. My parents could not. They had to pledge the house to get me $700 to send me to college. And the college, when I went there, a 4-year degree, I completed in just about 7 years. You know what it means, right? Yeah. So that was like, a lot of people were thinking, oh my God, this guy is doing masters and PhD and all of that good stuff. No. So there were 4. So I was so poor in math. There's like 4 papers in engineering. In computer science, you have to have math, and there's 4 papers of math which I had to study. And the passing grade in India is, by the way, it's 35%. And if you put all the number of 17 attempts is what I took to clear my first year math, which is in first year, you have math M1, M2, M3, M4. First year math, it took 17 attempts, and the last attempt, after 7 years, I scored 35, and I was like, man, God is kind, finally, please. So all that happened, and so by the time of the 4th year, when I completed degree, they'll send you out of college, all right? You got to come back and clear your papers, whatever it is. You got to finish your arrears, what you have. So I complete my 4th year, and my mom is asking me, hey, when are you going to complete your degree? I said, 4 years is done, Mom, I'm coming home. I came home, and a lot of people say, hey, without a degree, you're not going to get a job. Completely false. It's up to you. It's your ability to get a job. Flip the newspaper, day 1, went for the interview, and I didn't know how to write a line of code. I run a technology company. Not a single line of code, right? Studied computer science, you know what it is, 4 years, 7 years. I knew my roommates, including him, who was my roommate, who's right here, who's filming. So he tells me that, hey, buddy, you are good in sales. Just go do a sales career. So flipped the newspaper, went into, and fortunately, I took a sales career in selling computer training. That's where I got the first job. Got the first job, and it's only about, the first job was $20 a month, which is about 1,200 rupees. And that was desperately needed in the house. And that's the only reason why I wanted to immediately go get a job, and got that. And as a result of which the family was able to run the house and all of that. About 3 years goes by, making progress, all of that. And then one fine day, I've not met him in a long time. So one fine day, he drives past in a motorbike, and I saw him after a long time. Back in the day, no cell phones and nothing of that nature. He stops by and says, hey, dude, what are you doing and all that? Do you know what's a recruiter? I said, I know what's a recruiter. How do you know that? Because I'm moving around with all my software developer friends and everybody is going to the US. I knew that I want to go to the US, but without a degree and without knowing how to write a line of code, there's no way I can go to the US. He said, you know what? And I knew that recruiters can get to the US because if you recruit talent. So fortunately, we had that conversation, there's a company based out of Pittsburgh, and I'm having this conversation with them, still no degree. This is in July. Just that sheer pressure that I want to go to the US. I won the job, then went back to college, wrote the exam, got the degree. As soon as I got the degree, in 6 months, I got to the US. I just turned out to be lucky, that's all. And then came to the US, lived in Pittsburgh for about 3 years, then moved to Detroit, worked in Detroit for about 3 years. So this is about 6 years, 7 years in Detroit. So that's about 10 years. In 10 years, I worked only for small businesses. These are companies which are about 7 million. The first company which I joined was about 7 million. And the second company was about 6.5, 7 million, around the same kind of revenues. I was like, the first job when I came into the US, I got in at 32K. I remember so very well. And that time I'm contemplating, should I become a developer now? Because they are getting because I'm recruiting developers at 45, 50K. And I'm thinking, should I become a developer? Gave it a shot to learn development. But then I thought, you know what? I had cold feet. Last minute, I withdrew the offer. I said, no, I'm not becoming a developer. I will continue my career as a recruiter. The next job was a fantastic job based out of Pittsburgh. I got 80K, and as luck would play, 9/11 happens. They laid off everybody, and I'm still not on a green card. I'm on an H-1B. I'm married, and I have a young kid. We are living in an apartment, and the employer says, hey, I'm going to retain only 2 people. All the rest of them are gone, and some of the billable consultants in the marketplace. And I went in as a sales leader, from recruiting into sales, right? And he says, I'll give you $2,000. In $2,000, I'm paying $980 for the apartment. Because I was making 80K, I took a $980 apartment. And I'm trying to make ends meet. That's when everything fell into play. He said, you know what, do whatever you want, grow the company, continue. And this is like the entrepreneur is gone. They're all lifestyle entrepreneurs. All they want to do is make a check. And this is a time when offshoring is happening rampantly, like the support operations. And I'm telling both my employers that, you know what, hey, there is an amazing place called as Trichy. It's got a huge talent pool, and you should really invest in this particular talent pool, and you can build. And they never had this audacious plan to build an organization. And this is what I keep saying. As entrepreneurs, think really, really audacious. Think about $1 billion in your journey. Think big, think so big, and the universe will conspire to make it happen. Because I never knew that one day we'll be $100 million. But my target was, how do we get to the 100 million? So sold all my car. So working for that particular company, in the next 4 years after the recession, after getting a $2,000 paycheck, I'm working with just one other person in that room, grew that company from a $2 million to a $22 million firm. Wow. Just independently. Just sitting in that room, I got to know how HR works, how payroll works, how finance works, how do I bill for candidates, how do I receive, how do I actually market, all of that good stuff. How do I land customers? Learned all of that. And then I was telling this individual, my boss, my CEO, that let's grow it big. Let's think something really, really big. And let's do Trichy as a place. He said, no. MBE of the Year. Out of 17,000 MBEs, we were chosen as MBE of the Year. That is our team, which is the 750 people team which makes it happen. I am just a mouthpiece.